Well, a company that hopes to launch hovercraft service between Toronto and Niagara has cleared a big hurdle.
Yeah, speaking of congestion, Hoverlink Ontario says it has reached a deal with the city's Port Authority that will allow it to operate in the western gap of the harbor using a landing pad, connected to the island airport. The idea behind the rapid transit hovercraft service on Lake Ontario is that it will transport passengers between Toronto and the Niagara region in just 30 minutes.
For a closer look at this, we're joined live by Erica Ports, Hoverlink's interim chief operating officer and president. Erica, thanks so much for joining us. Look, this has been talked about for quite a while. Tell us about this milestone. And I have to say, I mean, it's kind of cool, right? Traveling by hovercraft.
Yeah, it's really cool. A lot of people think it's pretty innovative, but it's actually tried, tested, and true technology that's been utilized since the 1950s. We've done a little bit of a spin on it to assure that it can cross Lake Ontario. So it's a military-grade hull, and it was approved actually to cross Lake Ontario 365 days a year back in 2015. We've crossed a significant milestone by securing a long-term lease with Ports Toronto, and we're shovel ready on the south side with our partners at the St. Lawrence Seaway Management Corporation. We've done significant due diligence to bring this to market. We still have some way to go in terms of business planning, craft manufacturing, but we're ready to take passengers 30 minutes across the lake, and we have most of the approvals already in place.
It's not only pretty cool, it's pretty efficient if this works out. I mean, right now it takes about an hour and a half with no traffic to get from Toronto to Niagara region. You're promising a 30-minute ride. That could be a game changer, but I know there's a lot of work that still needs to be done. Could be years before the service is up and running. Give us a picture, a sense of what it'll look like, how this will work once it is ready.
It's a great question. So we have ground transportation plans for the Niagara region with shuttle buses that will get you to the major tourism attractions and also interconnect with existing transit options like GO Train as well as buses. The key here is to make ease of transit from one end to the next end. On the flip side, in Toronto, you have amazing transit opportunities already in existence at Billy Bishop Airport and in the city of Toronto. And that's one of the reasons after we evaluated multitude of waterfront areas, we decided on the Western Gap. It was close to transit, but in addition, it avoided any traffic in the inner harbor. So we really tried to address community concerns and do our due diligence with public information sessions, et cetera, et cetera. So we've done a lot of work to get to this point. We're pretty pleased about the long-term agreements. They allow us to really build the business, see significant trajectory in terms of building the business with tourism entities on both sides of the lake, and we're pretty pleased at this point in time.
It'll transport about 180 people. How much are these tickets going to cost?
That's a great question. Everybody asks me that. I think we're going to try to get comparable to what you might get charged for parking in downtown Toronto. We still have some evaluation to do. What do we do with commuters? Are we offering commuter passes as an example? Those are some of the things that we're evaluating, as well as packages for families and tourism wholesale partnerships where we partner with places like the Shaw Festival, the Harbourfront Centre, to really assure that when people are landing and coming into Toronto and want to see both tourism regions, it's enabled by a hovercraft. So not only commuters, but also serving a really significant tourism market on both sides of the lake. We see about 15 million people moving between Niagara and Toronto on an annual basis, and 40 million tourists between these two regions. Significant economic development by having waterfront connectivity with an underutilized asset, which is the marine environment. Lake Ontario is underutilized. If you go to British Columbia, it's not obscure to hop on a ferry or a boat to get you somewhere.
All right. Erica Ports, Hoverlink's interim chief operating officer and president. Good to get your thoughts on this tonight. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.